Hello everybody, and welcome to Scarlet Bough. This will be the first in our Haunted Cities Part 2. If you haven't watched the first video, I'll be linking it in the description. And I recommend you doing so either before or after watching this one, because this will have at least one callback. Kitty Horrorshow stated in her readme, do not look too much particularly into Scarlet Bough, but there is one note to find that will give more context to it. Which, I mean, great, and you will see what that note is very quickly. Do you think I want to go with you to the tree? You can't see the cocoons, but I can hear them too. They don't like where they have been sent to. I don't want to go. Caraway Grocery. Having trouble opening the doors. Conduits, 217, hallways, doorways, visible routes, generators, seed pods, floors, 13, known, question mark, unknown, attics, windows, mirrors. Don't tell me I had to, like, smash all 800 mirrors. Yeah, I decided to do this game first because it reminded me of Silent Hill. Well, Silent Hill 1 in particular, and what better way to start this video off. I think I'm going to be doing it in reverse alphabetical order. If things change... Hello there. That's a lot of meat. A lot of blood. This note. Though the existence of such a creature is a common feature of many belief systems, most especially those who hold to concepts such as corporeal punishment, sacrifice of self to spirits, either sacrifices of convenience such as fasting, though more commonly sacrifices of flesh, or underworlds and afterlives that exist as punishment for misdeeds committed during earthly existence. It is rare to see such a creature embodied in forms that are not in some way animal or humanoid. Rarer still is it to see new creatures conceived at the community level in modern times, existing outside of established theologies or belief systems. Though similar in practice to the flesh cults of the southeast, they distinguish themselves in the relatively prosaic, almost pedestrian methods of practice, less like ritual worship and more like the daily functions of a society which is deeply entrenched in the tactic occupants of its own beliefs. One such example is the off-sided community of Leech Bowl, Illinois, essentially a factory town dedicated in its entirety to the production of leech meal, a food source of obvious implication extracted from visitors, transients, and in times of desperation, residents themselves, in order to simultaneously feed and honor a massive colony of subterranean parasitic annelids. While the terra worship could be applied to this production and practice in strictest terms, that's a little hard to read, it is more likely to be considered a duty, or even colloquially dubbed a daily grind. Speculation is ongoing to the day as to the origin of the creatures that are central to the practice, whether a shared belief in the existence of such beings resulted in their psychoreactive realization, or whether they had existed prior to the formation of the township, said formation arriving in response to telepathic or subconscious transmissions, which brought together the founders of the township at the appropriate location, with little census being reached on any side of the debate, and thus few advances made on similar determinations surrounding similar locations and similar practice towards similar entities. Other recurring feature in such practices communities is an ambiguity of instruction on the part of the entity central to the belief system, like Skinner's superstitious pigeons. That should be a name of a band. Adherents of these systems frequently find themselves unclear as to what exactly is expected of them by their patron entities, and so engage in repetitious behaviors, which seem to coincide with favorable results or responses, as well as frequently conducting painstaking observations of the surroundings and the results of their routines in hope of divining. And is cut off at the end. Like I said, I actually tried recording this game before, but OBS didn't comply at first. Luckily, I was able to figure out the problem and be able to get it solved. But when I saw that note, I was like, wow, Leech Bowl? There's a screenshot of another game called Rose, which is probably going to be next, that has swords that look similar to the one seen in Pente. And I thought that was going to be a one-time thing, but if at least 3 of these 4 games have references to the ones for the first game, that's pretty amazing, honestly. Not what I expected. Unfortunately, you won't be able to get my fresh reactions to what will be going on, but I'll try to keep it entertaining for you. I'm not sure how many people realized on the first video that I was not playing blind. I made some references to it, especially in Pente. I still don't know what those are. So this seems to be like a neighboring town of some sort with a tree instead of leeches, it seems. You can see that there's a body hanging from it. And yes, I am collecting those. I honestly still don't know what they are. Somebody blocked somebody off in there. I wondered if they were murdered in there or they were just left to rot. I realized I didn't go into the funeral home earlier, and I should probably do that real quick because I thought that was the place with the note about Beach Bowl in it, so I was gonna save that one for last. Yeah, Whispering Waves funeral home. There's a casket in there. Don't worry, nothing's gonna pop out of it, I swear. Oh yeah, it was this one. The 9th of September, weather, fog, light rain, tree activity, done. Coastal aggression, minimum exports, 19 arms, 27 legs, 11 trunks, 8 tongues, 15 eyes. Last night, dreamt again of layer of skin underneath soil of island, walked perimeter of island in morning to watch for signs of figure none seen. 68 days since last sighting a shivering pillar. When I mention shivering pillar, it reminds me of the flesh pillars in Grandmother, but I don't know if that is simply coincidence or maybe it's intentional. Like I said, it did reference Leech Bowl. One thing I will say is that the music is the right notes of foreboding and probably my favorite part of this. More of those. Gross. More mirrors broken. 7 mirrors are shattered. Like I said, the one thing about Kitty Horrorshow is her use of sound, and you can feel it with the weird sounds around you, kind of giving this place an unearthly feel of a sort. Like I said, it's Scarlet Bough. Bough, I believe, is part of a tree or something along those lines, and there's just a body hanging from it. Warped. I think I'm approaching this to the wrong side. It seems like the one thing is that in all these games I can never stick to the path. You should have seen me the first time with that. How it caught me entirely off guard. The music stopped. Everything's red. Seems to be a recurring theme around here of how everything just suddenly turns into this hellish landscape. I still don't know what this battery does, I might add. You can hear voices in the ambience among other noises. I'm not entirely sure what that means. There's a door here now. I want to see what I give you this portent. My skin is a boiling tapestry. The dire mouth opens ever wider. Viscera vomits her laughter. And that's it. Game has closed. Like I said, I think the surprise sequel of the sorts to Leech Bowl made the game very interesting. Like I said, I played this more than once, trying to get it to record as I was figuring it out, and because the game's short, it's about like 13 to 15 minutes. I didn't even pick that up until like the second playthrough, and I was just astonished. Just seeing that note just changed everything to me, and it also changed my perspective of what to expect for this second volume of the series. Can't wait to check it all out more, if I'm being honest. Thoughts on the game itself. I thought it was very much like Leech Bowl, but somehow more empty, which adds to the atmosphere. I think Leech Bowl did the approach better overall, with the more foreboding atmosphere to it, but this game offers a very different experience. Like, it takes obvious inspiration from the previous game, but also doing its own little thing. And I think that's a good way of approaching it. But now we shall continue into our next game, Roads. Hello everybody. Welcome back to our next game, Roads. Now, as I said before, when I saw this, I thought that there's a bottle. Oh, like this is giving me Pente vibes and I wasn't sure. Let me try to see if I can get this at a better angle. She wove her fingers into mine, and we watched the ships leave us behind. We had nothing but the sand and the skies and each other. Really twisting roads. I mean, I know I'm not gonna die if I fall off. Doesn't seem to be Kitty Horrorshow's thing. Doesn't seem to be any real danger. Like, no matter what, it seems like in these games you just can't die. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it adds a lot to the experience. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the narrating of this, so I'm just gonna get all the messages. Her star was a rabbit, and she was exiled for the way she changed the city in her sleep. My star was a wolf, and I was exiled for the bitter words I etched into their doors. We wept for days, but we did so together, channeling our tears into the curve of each other's neck. Is this a love story? I'll be honest, I am playing this one 100% blind. So your guess is honestly as good as mine. Oh, there's a lot of roads. What order am I supposed to go in? Nope. Just missed it. I will admit, though, that I definitely messed up. Alright, there's our next note. Oh, the words reflect on the water, too. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. The first road rose up from the water, not when she was asleep, but when her back was arched and my lips were pressed to her stomach. I gasped, and she shut her eyes, smiling. Now there's an idea. She laughed and combed her fingers through my hair. So this doesn't seem to be much of a correspondence to Pente. It's just swords. I'm not complaining. This one's a lot more atmospheric than her others. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, please. I'm gonna give you a warning right now. There's gonna be a lot of cutting out all the times I fell. I'm probably doing this in the wrong order, but I kind of forgot where I started. I'm gonna collect this note as well. We walked together to its apex and looked across the water. I can't see the old continent, she said, and rested her head on my shoulder. It isn't there anymore, I told her. She pressed my lips to her crown. Guess that makes us the queens now, she said, and pushed me, laughing, into the sea. She raised a wide column from the depths and filled it with sand, into which I carved glass for tree and wind and sanctuary. It was not the home we had once dreamt of, licking wine from each other's lips and preceding our shared future to the moons. But it shone in the ruby sun, and its pillars made the wind sing, and it was ours. We woke one morning to find a tower had shouldered up from the water, threaded through with a new ribbon of stone. We walked to the top and stared at the shimmering inner walls of the spire. We pressed our faces to the crystal and saw wolves and rabbits bounding together through the fog. Alright, found another one. One that I missed. It was night, and we were catching our breath, and my head was pressed up underneath her chin, and the stars were rearranging themselves, and the sea was quiet, and the latest road was settling its stones into place, and I heard her whisper, "There's another one, but it goes up forever, and only I can see it, and I want to walk it, but not alone." Aha! Found it. Okay. That took me way too long. I wish there was an indicator of like where each of the bottles were. That took me like about 10 minutes or something like that. And I told her that I would make ink, and that would hang from the sky so that we could leave our history behind us. And now that I have, she is smiling at me at the foot of the road. Only she knows is there. We aim to go make someplace new together. There's no one in any creation more beautiful than her. A very lovely story, at least in comparison to Pente, which was a little bit more darker. I mean, this game, obviously not horror, might seem a little out of place, but at the same time, I haven't played the other two games at all. I think it's a lovely story. I don't know what else much to say other than that. It feels like I'm reading a fable, interacting with it by looking through each of these roads. The title is accurate, I must say. There are a lot of roads. It's a little bit different, and I'm not saying that's entirely a bad thing. Like I said, I just feel like it's a little bit out of place. But at the same time, I'm glad I experienced it. I don't really have too much complaints other than the bottles being everywhere. And I hope you enjoyed the story, everybody. I'm certain that this will be a nice relaxing break as we go into our next game. 3, 2, 1. Here is our next game, Monastery. It looks a lot and feels a lot like Grandmother, I must say. That is a loud, squeaky door. Okay. 10. What metric is that? Mealworms, leeches, fresh maggots, silkworm larvae, nightcrawlers, black soil. Got stuck on the door, like hit me in the face. Ooh, more notes. A page copied from some holy text. It describes parasites burrowing into the organs of soft mammals and the glorious jubilation of their feeding. A page copied from some holy text. It describes cicadas hooking their claws into the bark of trees and ripping themselves out of old carapaces. The description is malicious, borderline pornographic. Oof. Demonetization note. A page filled with erratic sprawling. The words skin and shred and drink and rive are repeated many times. What are we is this like a school? What are we teaching? Describes a hive queen swelling to an impossible size, whole mountains hollowed out by drones and filled with larvae. The controls are a little weird for me. It's not WASD, it's the arrow keys. I don't want to go outside yet. The door is locked. Here we go. Mother is coming to visit. I'm so excited. I haven't seen Mother in a long time. I said before, like, what is this? Like, and then I remember this is the monastery. It's in the title. With that hallway, a pair of heavy wooden doors leading out of the monastery. They refuse to budge, though they don't appear to be locked. They seem to have been barred from the outside. Because remember that the door is locked. This door is locked, but it's this one. This door is seething. You find your hand to the wood and feel a deep shuddering, some cruel energy innervating the material in the palms of your hands. There is no knob or handle. At the center of the door is a metal panel with 3 thin slots. Okay, I guess I'll be going outside. A statue of hate, Mother of the Hive, goddess of fury, plague, wings, death, and stinging insects. Her wings appear to be crafted from shards of some fine red crystal or glass. These are graves. Oh, I didn't notice these signs. Library. Oh, well, I noticed the signs. I didn't know that they said something dormitory. This seems like they're just describing the rooms. A grave marker, the inscription reads, Brother Califor. A grave marker, this one bears no inscription. Sister Parapala? Am I missing a key to one of these rooms? Maybe I'm supposed to get a shovel? A massive grub arrives atop a cutting board. Its glassy eye considers you pleadingly. It seems incapable of moving away. You pick up the old knife. So I am supposed to be finding things. Wait, do I kill the grub? You slice into the grub. A jet of warm hemolymph bathes your wrists. The grub attempts to grasp your fingers. You continue cutting until there is only viscera. In the ruins of the grub's body is a faded metal key. You pick the key. It is labeled infirmary. I didn't think to do that. The heavy tome was marked in several places. You open to the first marking. The passage reads, "On her wings rode fury and venom and violent, irreparable change. The sky shivered with her birth, and the horizon was pregnant with the mounds of her children." Yeah, I guess I'm just bad at video games, everybody. I'm missing descriptions. I am missing key items. I think I truly am becoming like a YouTuber. Do I want to go to the infirmary? That one was killed somehow. All indoctrinations heretofore successful. Stability of brother service questionable. No other outstanding concerns. Halfway metamorphose all ideal, barring those weak souls we put down. She looks upon us with great favor. Ours will be a triumph for her arrival. The corner of the infirmary is filled with pain. I do not know how to pronounce that word. They throb and pulse with shifting, changing, growing life. Apart from one exception, they appear fragile. So near to the end of their metamorphosis that you dare not move too near. With one exception. Yeah, I noticed. That guy was straight up murdered. Various surgical implements are arranged across the counter. They have been poorly maintained, and every one is completely drenched in thin, runny, red fluid. Among them is a slender glass knife of exquisite make. You take the knife. Okay, so I'm not killing these things. I don't know why I'm assuming that I'm killing something. A pair of heavy wooden doors leading out of the monastery. They refuse to budge, so they don't appear to be locked. They seem to have been barred from the outside. You can hear thunder, along with a harsh, distant hum like the droning of wasps. An odd compulsion stops you in your tracks. You drop to one knee and begin panting. Your vision clouds over. It feels like termites are crawling across the surface of your eyes. You go blind, but for a moment, then the sensation passes. You stand and catch your breath. What does that mean? I've been to this room plenty of times. I don't know what that means. You open the book to the final marking. There is no passage, at least not written. The thin iron key has been wedged between the pages here. Its label reads library. You pocket the key and set down the heavy volume. Kitty, you're killing me. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. A manifest of books, scrolls, and texts procured within the last month. Among them is a tome apparently recovered from a ruined farmhouse, an illuminated manuscript about the hive and a rite of invitation. Ruined farmhouse, you say? You pick up the slender knife. The handle feels slick and it numbs your fingertips. Ritual invocation. Its purpose seems to be changing the color of the sky to create an environment more suitable for the invitation of carnivorous deities. Oh my, no way. These are the same readings from grandmother. That's pretty cool. A table of correspondence associating various invertebrates with respective planets, precious metals, and acidic liquids. Normal. So I assume that all of the slots are knives, right? We put down Brother Lumbercus today. His change came, but was inadequate. He was given no weapons with which to carry out her will. His soul must have been weak, and yet he's always seemed so devout. I began to fear for my change and think I too might become something weak, something crawling and helpless. I can only pray she will deem me worthy. I have worked so very hard. There's a key in there. Oh, I actually had to look for the readme. Chapel. Page up and page down. You pick up the trowel. Okay. The word sermon is written across the top of the page. At the center of the page, the centipede appears to have been chopped into pieces. Its foods have long since dried into the paper. Good sermon. Alright, let's finally dig up that grave. You dig up the grave, you uncover the body of a man with the eyes and arms of a fly. His mouth is a flaccid, green tube is not of flesh. He appears to have been stabbed in the chest. You dig up the grave, it proves to contain not a body, but a small, thin glass knife wrapped in a scrap of old cloth. Dig up the grave, you uncover the body of a woman with the legs and segments underbelly of a cockroach. He appears to have been stabbed in the chest. You uncover the body of a man with no eyes, whose skin is slick and translucent from head to toe. He appears to have been stabbed in the chest. You gather out the 3 glass knives and slide them one by one into the slot. Each provides a slow, vicious scout of watery red ichor. The knives dissolve, their handles drop to the floor, and the door begins to slide upwards into the ceiling. Ooh, this room's disgusting. The door is massive, sturdy, slick with the same red, watery fluid that you seem to coat everything in its place. Beyond it, you can hear wind, the rustling of leaves, and the high, constant drawing that makes your chest feel hollow. You pull open the door and step through. The door is just on its own now. The sky is red. Listen to that sound. I am listening. I'm listening. Full and bright and incessant. $1,000 million pale white, 1,000 million pale fin wings. It's getting louder. All of them yours. Am I the the deity they're worshipping? You honor us. I am. And a close, of course. That one went on for a little bit longer than I expected. I think it was okay. I didn't quite like it as much as the others, I will admit, but I don't think it was bad. I think the puzzles were really confusing, or maybe I'm just bad at video game puzzles in general. That's probably it. I guess time will prove to tell that. But overall, I liked it. I think so far it might be my least favorite of the whole Haunted Cities pack, aside from Pente. It just feels a little too confusing for its own good, in my opinion. A lot of it, or like I said, maybe it's just me being hard to figure things out. That could just be human error on my part. But anyway, that was Monastery. Anyways, I was sick of using the black screen, and I forgot to record an outro for this, so I'm going to be using roads as a backdrop as I do so. Overall, I'd say that I like all the games. Maybe it was a tiny bit disappointing. Like, I think Haunted Cities 1 was a lot better. But at the same time, I enjoyed each of them, of the ones we played so far. They're all great games in their own right. I liked creepiness of Scarlet Bough, the nice, relaxing ambience of roads, as well as the twist that the writing in the sky actually does have a part in its own story, as well as the weirdness of Monastery. There's one game left, Gloom Puke, and based on these games here, I'm not quite sure what to expect out of it. I know I'm only making a video on one of these games, and to make up for that, I will be reading Cicadia, the short story that I mentioned in the first Haunted Cities video. I couldn't get around to reading, and I'll be doing a dramatic reading of that for you guys, just for the occasion. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.